Well, welcome to Let's Talk on WIN TV. I'm your host, Denise Rolark Barnes, publisher of the Washington Informer. Now, financial debt is on the rise across the country, and here in the DMV, many residents are feeling the strain. The recent government shutdown, now in its 23rd day, and staff reductions through the new Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, as we often call it, have left thousands of former employees facing financial hardship. Even those with lower incomes are struggling to avoid debt that can quickly spiral into legal trouble. And that's where Tzedek DC comes in. This nonprofit organization helps DC residents navigate debt crisis, offering legal support, financial education, and a pathway toward justice and stability. Today, I'm joined by Ariel Levinson-Waldman, founder and Director Counsel of Tzedek DC, and Stephen Jefferson, the organization's Community Outreach Coordinator. And as we continue to recognize Financial Literacy Month, Ariel and Stephen will share how Tzedek DC promotes fair debt practices, advances financial literacy, and builds partnerships that help residents stay on track financially and legally. So we'll explore the phrase Tzedek, turn off, justice, justice you shall pursue, and how its meaning inspires this mission and can impact your future. So let's dive in. Welcome to Let's Talk, Ariel and Stephen. Am I saying right, Stephen or Stephen?
Stephen, you got it right.
Yes, I got it right. Yeah.
Thanks so much for hosting us.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. As you said, it's Financial Literacy Month, but these are the conversations we need to be having all year round because people are continuing to have challenges. They need to know more about financial or have better financial education skills. And, we're in a tough time right now. That's really the bottom line. It's a tough time. So I want to start with you, Ariel. I mean, talk about how the phrase, and I want you to say it correctly in case I didn't, give us some background on that, but also how it kind of weaved into the founding of Tzedek DC.
Yeah, thank you. So tzedek is this beautiful word from the Bible, the Old Testament, the book of Deuteronomy, and it means justice. And inspired by that idea, we came together and founded Tzedek DC nearly a decade ago as a nonprofit headquartered at the University of the District of Columbia, UDC. We also now have offices in Ward 8. We serve residents in all 8 wards. And a particular mission and focus is around all the topics you were talking about at the beginning of the show, safeguarding the financial health and legal rights of our neighbors with lower incomes and moderate incomes too, in this expensive jurisdiction and area in the DMV, who are facing debt and financial consumer identity theft, credit report, and other challenges that can be obstacles towards stability and towards prosperity.
Wow. And Stephen, you with the job of community outreach, how do people find you all when, or what should they be coming with, or can they come with, the problems that they're experiencing? What is your job?
Well, my job is to take all this wonderful work to every inch of the 68 square miles of this beautiful city. And how that gets accomplished is through a lot of our partnerships that we have with other organizations, and they have tabling events, resource fairs, or even presentations. So throughout the city, the wonderful partners that we have, a lot of times send me emails, text me or call me and say, hey, we got an event coming up. We need you to come out and table. And normally when I come out and table and set the table up, everybody runs over and said, now, how do you pronounce this? And, I say, take the T off and then say Tzedek. And they say, yeah, I got it. So knowing that it says legal help for people in debt is the biggest draw as well. And a lot of them are wondering, well, what kind of legal debt can you help me with? And, just sharing with them about consumer debt. If you're dealing with scams, fraud, ID theft, if you want to understand medical debt or the student loan situation. We have a wonderful project for people with disabilities and also seniors. We know that they're targeted for frauds and scams the most. We have a wonderful return to citizen project that we kicked off. where we have actually one of the attorneys that you can talk to directly. And just like with the Disability Community Project, you have one of the attorneys you can talk to directly. So a lot of the work that we do and a lot of the events that I attend really brings a lot of folks that are really hurting. So in a lot of that, I just sit back with an open heart and an attentive ear, and when needed, an instructive tongue. But most of all, love on them and encourage them that, hey, let us help you, and we're going to educate you. We're going to work with you with your situation, and then we're going to prepare you to move on further in life.
That's amazing. And one of the things, Ariel, that I know, we've talked about it with regards to the last financial crisis that happened a few years back, and the high number of residents in Prince George's County who lost their homes because they would not seek help. A lot of people have that sense of pride, and they don't want to knock on the door or go places where they can get help. And how are you able to break? I mean, Stephen sounds like he's a great community outreach representative, but once they come in the door, how do you all help them?
Yeah, it's a great question, and the issue is absolutely a real one. Lots of people, for reasons that we have to deeply respect, have that pride. We all have it. And how do you make sure that people know the help is there, and then just as importantly, they know they can trust it and feel okay about accessing the help? We're really intentional in terms of addressing that issue about working in partnership. So every time someone has a legal issue where they've received something from the court, if somebody has sued them, the court sends them a piece of paper and it's got our hotline on it. So first thing is they know the court trusts us. We have 80 community partners throughout the district, and some in Maryland, some in Virginia. And our community partners are grassroots and working on the ground. So when somebody's working with Skyland's Workforce Development Center, there's already an experience of trust. When someone's been at Building Bridges Across the River, another one of our partners and one of our fantastic board members, Rasan Bernard, leads Building Bridges Across the River. When someone's already had a positive experience with building bridges, and they know that they're one of our partners, that we find that helps. When they've already worked with UPO, United Planning Organization, and so these trust builds help. One of the things we've been really proud about over time is that as we've served more and more clients, we've now served in direct services over 5,000 households.
Wow.
The dynamic has become that current and former clients are the basis for those referrals. And this is not because people are, this is not because we're, looking to charge a fee. All our work is provided at no cost to means eligible residents, but it is because people have had, and they've told us that they've had the experience. Number one, our team, at least the ones besides me, are absolute subject matter experts. They know their stuff. And number two, and this is something that we emphasize so hard in the training and in taking the time to make sure we're doing the work right, that we know that people are getting the message that this is a place where they'll be listened to, they'll be respected, their goals will be the driving force. And the question is, how can we assist them in achieving their goals? And so a lot of times we're getting feedback that you all are the first time somebody from the quote unquote system has done something helpful to me, rather than garnish my bank account, take my credit report, suspend me from school, subject me to the pathologies of the criminal justice system. Something positive has happened. I won my case. My credit problem went away. It was easier for me to get that job, get that loan. And that's exactly the positivity we're going for.
That's one of the things that when I went to your website, and we're going to put the website up, the video that folks see are real testimonials of people who've had real life experiences. I mean, parking tickets that they, that doubled up on them and they couldn't pay, or, other issues where they really felt helpless. And, they're basically testifying that Tzedek helped them. But, what are there things that you don't help people with?
There are. And that's something that we keep in mind every day. What we do is we have a really broad, hard listening approach to our intake, because nobody walks in the door with a sign over their head that says debt collection problem.
Right.
These are our neighbors with real life issues. Folks come in and they're stressed about 10 different things. We can help with the things we can help with. That's debt, credit, fines and fees, fraud, identity theft. But what we also do, and we do this every day really intentionally, is listen to our clients or folks that are considering becoming clients and say, oh, you've identified a housing issue. We've got a partner that does housing. You've identified a food insecurity issue. We've got partners that address that. You've identified a mental health issue. We've got an idea for you. You've identified a substance abuse issue. We've got ways for you to get support. More and more, you've identified an immigration issue because of all the horrible things happening in our community right now in immigration. We've got partners that do that. And so we try and make sure that people come out either with the direct help from us or with that pathway to direct help from one of our partners.
That it sounds very holistic, and that is rare in a lot of programs, because when people don't know or can't, if you don't fit into that square peg, you're kind of at a loss. And it sounds like you all are working to make sure that happens. And I think things can help. But also I've read and we've done stories in the Informer where you worked with the Attorney General's office on some actually, corporations that come into the district and actually have these scams that people are impacted by, and you've supported public policy issues or legislation to kind of get folks out the door. So you do more than help people, but you really help to impact public policy as well. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, thank you for raising it. In support of that mission that I was describing earlier, we do 3 things at Tzedek DC. Number 1 is that directs services. We talked about that a little bit. That's free legal help, but also free financial counseling help. Number 2 is the work that Stephen leads, which is extraordinary, our community outreach and education work. That's all about a theory of knowledge is power and getting information out in the community in a way that's accessible from people who are trusted, sitting shoulder to shoulder with trusted partners in English and Spanish and in other forms. We have 100+ languages here in our beautiful and incredibly rich District of Columbia. Number 3 is what you raised, and it's a really important part of the equation. Sometimes the issue is not that somebody can solve their problem using the current rules. Sometimes the problem is that the current rules are bad and don't make sense. Or they used to be good, but circumstances have changed and now they need to be tweaked. And that's where our systemic work comes in. We listen really hard to what the community is telling us about the problems in their lives. And so over the time, we've had community members say to us, the debt collectors are harming my credit report, and they're calling me and they're emailing me and they're harassing me. And that's a big problem for me. Well, we worked with the chair of the council. We worked with the Attorney General's office, and we came up with a set of rules to change some of the abusive practices. For example, making sure that the marshal service isn't used against people in debt disputes, because that's such a scary, coercive thing to have happen, have the marshal's office come to your house, and that shouldn't be part of any civil dispute about money. We also have worked on big systemic change when it comes to fines and fees. For a whole generation in the district, and this also was happening in Maryland, we partnered with Attorney General Brian Frosch when he was in office. We worked with the Virginia NAACP on this issue in Virginia. For a whole generation in our region, we had rules in each of the 3 state level governments that we have, DC, Maryland, Virginia, DMV, that said, basically, if you have an unpaid parking ticket or an unpaid traffic ticket and you can't pay it right away, we're going to take away your driver's license. We got that changed through a mixture of working with the legislatures, in several cases participating in or filing systemic constitutional lawsuits. But at the end of a lot of activity, those rules have now been changed in each of those jurisdictions. In addition, until very recently in DC, we had a similar rule that was uniquely bad and punitive, and we think backwards. And what it said was, if you had unpaid fines and fees of any kind owed to the district, you are automatically disqualified from having or for renewing your occupational licenses. So if we're a highly regulated jurisdiction, 125 different professions, 48,000 jobs. You need a license to do those jobs lawfully. You want to be a plumber, you want to be a barber, you want to be an HVAC cleaner, you need a license. So fine, maybe that should be the rule, but then also say that you can't have a license if you are not wealthy enough to pay a fine or fee. That's where we really started undermining people's pathways to employment, to stability. And so we worked with Councilmember McDuffie and others. We also had to get involved in the courts there. But through Councilmember McDuffie's leadership in the Economic Development Committee and through litigation, we ultimately resolved. Those rules were changed, and now effective just a little while ago. It's no longer the case that somebody with an unpaid fine or fee to the district is disqualified from being able to get to the job, to do the work, to get the money, to get whole.
Well, that's wonderful. I'm going to give an applause for that, because I'm sure that, the workers themselves and the people who need the services, are glad to hear that. We're losing people who can provide services in the district for lots of reasons now. And so,
no, thank you. And there's one other systemic thing I want to shout out. It's so timely, and I really appreciate your having us on this week, because Congress has been attacking DC in the whole country in many ways, but DC uniquely, and subjecting DC to Medicaid cuts. That's putting a lot of pressures on the mayor's office. And so we've seen the disappearance of our local health insurance dollars and protections through the DC Alliance program. And that's all very bad and very scary for families that need healthcare to be able to access healthcare at all and be healthy. One of the things we know that gives residents so much anxiety is that over 90,000 residents have medical debt. And what we have said
say that again, that's over 90,000.
Over 90,000 residents have unpaid medical debts to a hospital or to a nursing home or to some other medical provider. And this is not because people choose to have medical debt. If you have an emergency medical issue, it's ridiculous to say that you are somehow irresponsible to get the care you needed. But as we all know, that sometimes leads to the racking up of, because people are underinsured or the insurance policies don't cover everything needed to be covered. And now you're off to the races with medical debt. It's the number one driver of bankruptcy in the country.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
It impacts our Black and our Latino neighbors at percentages much higher than our white neighbors. So it's, on top of that, it's a racial justice issue and an equity issue. And so we put out a report after best practices several years that we did with a terrific coalition. And just this week, Councilmember Christina Henderson, who chairs the DC Council's Health Committee, she introduced on behalf of herself and a majority of the DC Council a very strong reform bill that, if it becomes law, and I hope it will create some important protections for residents who are continuing to face medical debt. For example, some hospitals have been able to place liens on people's homes as a result of medical debt. The bill would stop that from happening.
Wow, that's amazing. And again, kudos to Tzedek DC for sort of moving forward with that and working on behalf of residents, and Councilmember Henderson as well. We don't know. Again, these are the silent disruptors of our lives that people are dealing with every single day. We lost Stephen, but we're about out of time. But I was going to ask, just if there are the misconceptions. Well, really, I don't want to do that. Let's talk about the importance of financial education, because I assume when people come in and you're helping them with address whatever issue that they may come with, that you also are probably helping them to understand how not to get into these situations again, if it is within their power and control.
Yeah, thank you for raising that. There's really two things that we want to make sure to shout out. Number one, DC a generation ago, and Stephen Jefferson actually tells a beautiful story about his own path that illustrates this. And I know he had to, his connection went sideways here, so I'll try and do my best on the story. But it's essentially that, when coming up a generation ago and graduating in the 80s from DCPS, that he and his classmates had access to a strong class on financial literacy through the life skills program. Mm-hmm. Generation later, after DCPS had to reorient its programming in the wake of No Child Left Behind and all the budget cuts from the takeover by the control board. Kids in Stephen's, there he is. Stephen J is back. Stephen, I was sharing how you've told this beautiful story that it is so emblematic about how your son coming up in the same system got nothing. And that is consistent with what we know from hundreds of pieces of feedback from DC parents and families, and from what the national studies tell us. So the National Financial Literacy Evaluators, they give Virginia an A, they give Maryland a B, and they give us here in the district an F. And so we have a ways to go, and we have a huge opportunity. The mayor has said some really exciting things about her commitment to this issue. She's created a financial literacy council, which we're proud parts of. We've worked with OSSI, the Office of the State Superintendent, to tee this up as something that can change in schools over time.
As a matter of fact, we are holding on for an opportunity to talk to OSSI. We know that there's an elective class that's being offered in DCPS now, but
yes,
the idea is to make this a required class.
That is exactly the idea. We want to stimulate that, and then in parallel, for our young people who are either late high school or 18 and over, we have developed a private sector solution partnered with Industrial Bank and others. It's an 8-week long, 16 hours session with expert instruction from our financial counselors, from investment advisors, from savings advisors, from know your rights advisors. And it's everything soup to nuts, from budget to what's a paycheck to FICA to taxes. And the thing I want to shout out is we've had sessions in Ward 5, Ward 7, Ward 8. Steve and a number of colleagues lead this. We'll have sessions in 2026. These are open for sign up. They're provided at no charge to the young people in the district. This is all privately funded. And for every single participant, we know that if we just, Charlie Brown's teacher, wah, 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 then people are just going to tune out. And so we make sure to provide access to the ability to practice and access to some assets. So we fundraise and seed every single participant's account, newly created $100 investment account, and then 3 years of administrative costs for that account are covered. And so people come away with a pathway towards growing their assets and strategies for doing so, and being able to work with our financial counselors. The impact we've seen has been really exciting. The feedback from the community has been tremendous. And Stephen, can you hear us now, or should I turn things over to you, or should I keep going here?
Yeah, I wanted to, if Stephen is there, because I wanted to end with him. We only have a couple of minutes left, but I wanted him to kind of, close us out with, how, why this is so important, your personal experience with your son, and, kind of what you tell people when you're standing at those tables, about why they need to come and talk to the folks at Tzedek. So maybe
we still may have some.
We might have to pause.
Issues. The audio for Stephen, but I'll share that.
So we took a little break for technical reasons, but we're at the end of this segment. Stephen, are you there? So yeah, we're going to move on. Ariel, you were just saying to us about the program and the great feedback that you've gotten from some of the schools. And
thank you. It's as we've completed now a pilot program and now moved into scaling the program because the young people have told us over and over this is making a big difference. 98% are saying they'd recommend it to friends and family. Most of them are saying they're more confident consumers and investors now. And we've heard from students at Ballou. We've heard from people who were at UDC. We've heard from people who were in their first job or about to get their first job. We are committed to being part of the private sector solution to this through our nonprofit work. So we want to invite anyone who's listening to reach out to us at our website or give us a call and get signed up for these classes. We've seen them make a big difference in the lives, and folks are telling us in their future lives through the Tzedek DC Young Adult Financial Empowerment Program. So thanks for the opportunity to share about it.
Yeah, thanks. Before we close out, I mean, we do have the website there, and if there is a phone number, would you mind sharing that with us as well?
Absolutely. 202-724-7386.
All right. I'm gonna get you to tell it to us one more time. Oh, we have it. There it is. 202-724-7386. And lastly, you all are at the University of the District of Columbia on campus on Connecticut Avenue, but you also have programs throughout the community. Can you name again a couple of the places where people can find you?
Sure. They can find us in person at UDC or in our Ward 8 offices, and they're all listed on our website. We also have phone people can call, and our partners can find us as well. But the easiest thing is to hop on our website, which is very, very straightforward, tzedekdc.org. And we have a no wrong door policy. So you can show up at the office, you can call us, you can email us, you can send in a form through our website, either to volunteer or to become a financial counselor or legal client and participate in our work.
Fantastic. All right. Ariel Levinson-Waldman of founder, director counsel at Tzedek DC, and Stephen Jefferson, who we heard a little bit from, but lost him in the show. But you will probably see him out there in the community as a community outreach coordinator. We're so happy to have you here on Let's Talk and to help us, the whole community, know what we can do to address some of our financial challenges and improve our financial education. So thank you so very much for being with us today.
Thank you, Denise.
All righty. Have a good one.